Welcome to the buymeacoffee.com/James Poetry, the coffee tips page that supports my James Poetry creative productions and work. See also jamespoetry.online. Hello, Perceptive Reader. This is a James Poetry consultant moment. For any important position, some of them are just for money, and nothing's wrong with that. Yet any position that does involve where you have to be able to implement policies of right and wrong as far as whether a person has been criminalized against or what have you. Those type of positions, you have to want to be in them in the sense of it's not just for the money. I showed you one interview of even a peace officer that mentioned how really compared to what they do, it still is worth just as much money. Now, this person didn't say that, but it is worth just as much money that is way more than six figures. But that's just a thought. Some people look at it as my opinion, but you know what? On another podcast, I could prove it, but I'm not going to do it. For the ones who do the work, they know that. So, and the thing about it is, that's why we still take the time to just say thank you. Now, with that being said, there's a lot of persons who are graduating this year. Remember, this is the graduation season. And so you got persons graduating from high school. And then guess what? They're going to continue on to maybe some type of other college somewhere or locally or what have you. So their schooling will continue. And I guess those are the ones that I am addressing right now for you to strive to always have the principal reason of any occupation you're going into and really look at the responsibilities of that position and see if some of them are just, grocery store type jobs where it's like, hey, but I told you any type of job that really deals with another person's welfare. And that's the way that I'm going to put it. You should have an outlook that that person's welfare is so important that you will also protect that welfare. You see, you would protect that welfare. And I'm just talking, there's a lot of in general stuff. I'm not saying that, you need to go and put on boxing gloves or what have you. No, but I'm just saying is, if your job has a responsibility of looking after somebody in that way, many people will think about first responders and hospitals and stuff like that. Yeah. And that certainly applies. And now in this day and age, we still have all these financial situations and institutions that constantly need still agencies, and notice this word, honest agencies that really are looking out still for the people and their welfare in that way. I've mentioned before that I do believe strongly that even though there are just ways that people function to find out whether this person is the candidate or the right candidate for this or that or what have you, I still truly feel inside and see, and I'm saying this is perfectly all right for me. This is how I feel, okay? How I feel that when you have persons that the system has been very unkind and unjust, that there are funds in place to make sure that that person is able to get back on their feet. in this way or that way. And there's different, levels, of course, but I'm not going into that. But I've used this one example before, and I wanted to use it again about one episode of even Wyatt Earp, where here it is, this person had lost someone, their loved one, someone they were betrothed to. This person was just out doing, trying to find work to start a family anew. And here it is, got caught in between, a bad crowd who the bad crowd were actually like, bank robbers and things of that nature. But this person didn't know it, and they certainly didn't tell them. And so either way, when the sheriff and them caught up with it and they had this unjust, heavy-handed, now it's more than heavy-handed, but it was a law that the governor had actually mentioned that he wanted to put in place because he was tired of, bushwhackers and stuff like that. So he was basically telling Wyatt Earp and all his deputies to shoot to kill. And Wyatt Earp didn't like that at all. But all the same, this woman who she was betrothed to, her husband got killed in the process. And it drove the woman crazy. And then she started trying to shoot the persons who went after her husband. You'll have to look at that episode. The whole point is Wyatt Earp had gave a speech for her to the judge, you see. And basically what he was saying is, it was already a travesty of justice. And he named the several different situations where what created that scenario for, you see, her betrothed, now dead husband was killed, you see, that created the situation. And he was seriously able to see that it really was under the direction and even the legislation that caused that severe harm and that death to even a livelihood. You see, and financially, economically, and even after already losing a loved one. So all the same, what he was basically saying was this, if already it's been travesties of justice coming up into this point where justice actually turned into injustice, then we don't want to make it any more worse by now putting this woman in jail just for shooting at the persons who went after or what have you. And so the whole point is the judge listened. And that's what I'm trying to tell you today. There are some occupations, perceptive reader, that you know what? You just can't be a yes person. Being a yes person is not being, as I say, in some situations, obedient. It isn't. And I could prove that too. I already did. So that's all I'm just saying. You do what your higher level of ethics and spirituality moves you to do, because your heart is already moldable and enlightened in that area to be feeling this way. If someone says they don't feel that way, then what has some of your own teachings and sayings said about that level of that person's thinking in the first place? So what level are you truly on? And a lot of times people say this to persons who proclaim to love God or are Christians. They like to say, practice what you preach to them. But I'm here to still tell you today, whether you believe in a higher power or you're more into the new age type of views, don't you have something that says practice what you preach as well? And I think that does have something to do with showing a willingness to step in when an injustice is happening, a willingness to speak up. If not, then I guess that should prove another point about some of what Jesus' words have said that show more of the elevated teachings of Jesus in the first place. Anyway, have a good day.